Welcome to the Emotions Coaching Summit 2024, brought to you by In Good Company, a global coaching training company and founder of the revolutionary Emotions Coaching Practitioner Training. If you're inspired today to continue your journey of emotions coaching, then be sure to check out our website at igcompany.co.uk for full details of that course. For now, we invite you to sit back and enjoy the amazing lineup that we have for you today from our expert speakers who are all leaders in their field. Enjoy!
Welcome, everybody. I know many of you have been with us for the whole day. So welcome. I'm really excited to introduce you to Kai Koch, who is going to talk to us about the app that he's created to support people to develop their emotional intelligence. So Kai, over to you.
Hello. Give me 1 second and I'll also share some slides with you, as one does, as we're in tech. My name is Kai, and I'll give you a bit of a backstory on myself before we start, because I think I'm a bit of an oddball when it comes to this wonderful lineup here. I do have a background in law, so I'm neither a trained medical professional nor am I a certified coach or in any way other qualified to speak to you, other than the fact that I, as I'm sure as many of you do, have certain issues with my relating to my emotional intelligence. I've done a few things on the entrepreneurial side in my life. Amongst them, built a company called Helpling, which is a marketplace for cleaning services that is active in 14 countries, and ran the European business for an American company called Casper Sleep, that is a mattress company, which we IPO'd in the US. And within that process, which is quite a straining one, my partner at that time ended the relationship with me and gave me the great tip that if I ever want to be in a happy and fulfilling relationship, that I should work on my emotional intelligence. And within that, I believe my anger and my suppressed anger has been an issue. And that led me down a path of trying to discover what works for me. And I, for myself, learned a few things along that process that inspired us to build what Ahead is today. And amongst them were learning that everything that I've tried that was focused around passive content consumption, I read, I listened, I watched, was amazing for inspiration, but it didn't really actually help me acquire new skills. And I think there's a bit of a misconception in that field. When we're talking about hard skills, learning how to ride a bike, learning how to ski, it comes very natural to us to put on a pair of skis or to get on a bike and learn how to do that, build the muscle memory to do that. But when it comes to social and emotional skills, we, for some reason, do believe that by purely consuming content, we can learn these skills. And that is something that we're trying to change with Ahead. We're using software to help you not only consume, but apply what you have learned right there and then, both within the actual application on your phone and in real life, of course. And by that, help you bridge the problem of how to apply what I've learned. We are now in our 4th year of trying to do that, and we've achieved some really great things, but we're at the very beginning of what we're doing. I'll walk you through a few slides, and then I'll do my best to demo you the product. And I'll try to not just make this a one-way conversation. Please do stop me whenever you have a question, and do feel free to ask. And I hope that you also give the product a try. It is free for you to try, so don't worry. We all have issues, right? Whether it's anger or it's procrastination or it's confidence or it's people pleasing. This is as human as it can be. The problem is that, in our opinion, we've approached the solution to this wrong. There's a $42 billion market. You see that I'm an entrepreneur, so I like to think in numbers. And some of these slides are stolen from investor presentations that we've done in our lives and of people that we've convinced to invest in us to help build a solution. This is a massive market, and there are lots of very bogus people in this market, and always have been. Whether it's in the very early days or even today, there are always people who try to sell you the 3 tips to a happier life, the 10 secrets to marriage, and all of those things. And they're not even wrong. That's the problem. Often the truth is very simple. And, if you think about weight loss, right? The truth of consuming, if you believe in the thermodynamics law, the truth of consuming less calories than you burn is a very simple truth. The problem is that that doesn't equip you with the ability to not eat the Snickers when said Snickers is lying in front of us. So that in itself is a skill that we need to learn, although we do know that we shouldn't eat it. You see here that this is something that not only people spend a lot of money, it's also something that people are deeply interested in. Some of the most read articles that you find on the internet are in relation to emotions. It is something that we're just inherently interested in as human beings. There is, and some coaches might not like what I'm putting on this here, but there is an issue. And coaching is something really great. Books and articles in itself are really great. PhD theses are great, but there are problems with that. Coaching is something that, at least if you do it on a one-to-one basis, tends to be very expensive. It might be geographically unacceptable or intimidating when accessible to you. Books and articles are really great when it comes to inspiration, but they often fail to actually help us change. And there's this wonderful statistic in all of these self-improvement attempts that we usually do around January, 90% of them do fail. And when we started with the hat, this was kind of our golden sentence. How can we help people to maybe get only 85% of the self-improvements to fail and help more people to succeed? What we have today is a mobile app. We had the pleasure of Apple nominating us for their award in social impact last year, which really helped us gain a lot of eyes on the product. We've started to run the first studies on the efficacy of the product. We today can proudly say that around 87% of our users do report that they are seeing progress towards their goals within the first 2 weeks of the usage. Obviously, those progress is very individual when it comes to behavior change goals. We do have a very diverse portfolio of users and customers who use ahead, and I'll get into more detail how we're helping them later. But on a top level, we're seeing that we're helping people, which is really great. What is ahead? We use technology to help you understand behavioral patterns in your life. And that starts as easy as, and we'll enjoy parts of the product later together. We help you to understand by asking you a question, prompting you to reflect what certain patterns exist in your life. I'll give you an example of myself. I value freedom highly. And if you value freedom highly and that freedom is put in danger, whether that's your girlfriend or your mother who tells you to put on a hat because it's cold outside, you tend to react in a certain way. Understanding your value set and understanding the certain patterns that exist when that value set is threatened will help you build the knowledge that when this is happening, you can spot it early. And that is one of the key skills that we try to aim at, is helping you to spot early when a certain emotion is bubbling up. So when you're first feeling that emotion, you have the chance to get on top of that and to then apply a technique in your life that helps you to either distance yourself from that emotion or to make sure that while you're experiencing emotion, which is a good, every emotion is good, there's nothing that is bad, you are not being controlled by said emotion. Because in our experience, when you are controlled by emotions, you tend to make bad decisions. Everybody, and I'm sure at least I do that at least once a week still, I write an email that I probably shouldn't have read or written because I write it in an emotional state. And when I read that email, a day later, I just keep on asking myself, why did I do that? If I just would have read it over after having a coffee or just going outside for a quick breath, I would have probably been much nicer or much more effective in my own communication. Once we do that with you, we help you to, with that understanding, build a toolkit of science-proven techniques. I'm not a scientist. We worked with a complete array of different schools of thoughts and scientists from different fields to collect a library of behavior change techniques. As of now, I think it's 120 something, ranging across different fields of emotions. And we are agnostic when it comes to what works. Our goal is for you to find a technique that works for you. What we do is we utilize the data points that we have to suggest you certain techniques that we know work for people with a similar profile. By profile, I mean, anger is a universal emotion, but a 45-year-old man who is dealing with road rage might experience anger in a very different way than a 28-year-old mother who is dealing with rumination, which is also a form of anger and different behavior. And the techniques that work for those different profiles might be completely different. And whether it's a meditative technique or a breathing technique or a distancing technique. Our goal is for you to try different ones and see what works for you. For example, what you see here on the screen, finding something blue. This is a technically non-scientific technique, which still nonetheless is one of our most favorite techniques I think by now by over 1.5 million people who've applied that technique successfully for them. And we, or at least one of our scientific team has found it in a Reddit group about anger. And it basically revolves around the point that when you feel the anger bubbling up, you look for something blue in the room. And once you found something blue in the room, you identify that blue object. And that alone helps you to get out of the anger spiral and keep control. And very simple, very effective, can be applied even when you're in a call, can be applied while you're in a conversation with somebody. And I think one of the learnings for us is that often academia and the scientific community tends to work on very complex ideas and techniques, but what really works powerful is often something very simple. I had a conversation the other day with one of the world's leading experts in PTSD, and he talked about a child that had come up with their own technique, which was drink a glass of orange juice whenever it was getting angry. That is not a scientifically proven technique in any way. Too much orange juice is probably not healthy if you think about the sugar contained in it. But a child getting to the point of understanding, whenever I feel that I'm getting overly emotional and I'm being controlled by emotions, there is something that I can do to break from that cycle, whether that's taking a breather or drinking a glass of orange juice. That's the very powerful learning for us. And building that toolbox for you as an individual is incredibly important. And the third element within the hat is that we learned is the complexity with behavior change is not behaving differently once. No, each and every one of us can behave differently once. The complexity when it comes to behavior change is keeping up new behaviors for a long period of time. The motivation is very fickle, whether it comes to weight loss or it comes to anger management. It's just something that is hard. There's a high cognitive load and changing our behaviors, constantly reflecting and trying to improve. So if you can reframe behavior change from something that you have to do to something that you want to do because you enjoy the process, then you can support more people in their goals and you can, so to say, lower the bar of self-improvement. And we, from the very beginning at the Hat, have taken a very humorous and light approach to behavior change. So we're trying to make you laugh and giggle along the way. Behavior change is hard, and often it's complicated, and there's personal trauma involved in that. So why not have a laugh while doing it? So what you see here and what you will see later is that we take from game design to build rewarding loops into your actions that you perform within the app to reward you for things that you've done. You've applied the technique, you've learned something about yourself. You now deserve a joke. No, you might deserve a funny comic, or you might play a little game to reward yourself for what you have done. One of the really great things, and this is phrased here in a way that is addressing investors, but behavior change works if you're putting yourself on the weight scale and you're seeing that you're losing weight. Now that's a great moment for you yourself, but it works best if you're receiving social recognition from the people that you trust and love. So if somebody tells you that you look like you've or you lost weight, or that you've made progress in dealing with your anger issues, those are the really powerful moments that give us motivation to continue on our journey. And one of the ways that we've brought this into a head is that at the very beginning of your experience within a hat, you go through a series of questions where you look at yourself, and you're then prompted, if you so want, to open this up to your trusted friend circle. And you can invite your loved ones to answer the same set of questions about you. And we help you to get to that moment of self-awareness where it's not only you, it's also the people that love you that tell you, hey, you can be a bit of a hothead, or you know what, you're actually much cooler, or you're perceived much cooler in discussions than you actually think you are. And testing our self-awareness and understanding, do we really know ourselves? Do we know how people that we like and that we trust perceive ourselves, is an incredibly powerful moment. And there's a Harvard study that says that 90% of us think that we're self-aware, but if you actually put it to the test, only 10% of us are really self-aware. And whoever has done like a professional 360-degree feedback has seen that there are often some things that patterns that erupt from people that know us very well that we have never known. So I'd urge you to start at that self-awareness piece before moving into actual behavior change, to know where you stand and where you actually jump off and what you can and should potentially work on. When it comes to building for behavior change, which is what we're doing, there are certain loops that you can address that help you to build rewarding cycles. So you want to make it easier for people to establish two new habits in their life. On the one hand, establishing a new habit working with our product, because only if you work with our product, we can actually help you change. And then on the other hand, actually establishing new behaviors in your life that are in relation to that emotion. And we luckily all have a boredom loop. Often that boredom loops leads us to dopamine-inducing sources. We open TikTok, Instagram, instant gratification through dopamine that we get from doom scrolling, which I think there's now a global trend of not allowing kids to do this, limiting screen time to that. But I do believe that facing the reality will be that these screens are with us and they are in our pockets, and we open our mobile phones 100 times a day. So it's more about avoiding bad screen time and moving our curiosity to good screen time. What can we do with our mobile phone? Can we learn a language? Can we learn how to better deal with our anger or work on our confidence? And that is something that we can attach to. If you are bored, if you are curious, to phrase it positively, can we build a rewarding experience to help you learn something new? And then, of course, in our case, we are often in an emotional moment. Around 35% of the people who open a hat are currently experiencing strong emotion. They're angry, they're frustrated. And how can you help people in that moment to work through that emotion? Now, you cannot do something with a high cognitive load in a moment where you're very angry. You require something that helps you calm down in that moment. So you need to have a path that leads you straight to a technique that you can apply right there and then, that helps you to work through that emotion. And then there's a very interesting third motivation, which is you've just gone through a strong emotional moment. You just had that fight with your child. You just had that fight with your partner, and you're frustrated about your behavior. you've again exhibited a certain pattern in your behaviors. You've been triggered by that same situation. You've again lost control over your emotion, and you want to understand what you've done wrong in that moment, or what you could have done better in that moment, and how you can break through that cycle. And that is a powerful reflective moment where we have a certain neuroplasticity that allows us to learn from that moment and now apply different behavior the next time. And that can be incredibly rewarding for people to go through. On zooming out a little bit, I think one of the interesting things that we have now in our fourth year discovered is that, and I'm sure each of you does instinctively know that, behavior change and the motivation to change and our emotions, they change, right? They change on a daily basis, often sometimes in a minute. But we do tend to have certain patterns across a year. There might be moments in January where we say, I really have to deal with my anger. Maybe HR called us up and told us that, getting into one more fight with a colleague is going to put us in jeopardy. Or your husband or your wife, has called this out to be an issue in your relationship, or you're seeing that you're estranging from your kids. You want to work on anger. That motivation is rarely ever linear throughout the year. We have a strong motivation and that fades after a few months, and that is okay. As long as we utilize that motivation to do work on ourselves. And then usually we see that throughout the year, we have different emotions coming up in their primary phase. We have maybe experienced grief, a relative that passed away, or we experience heartbreak of a relationship. And the goal of ahead is that at a certain point, we're able to provide you with an experience in those different emotional moments to get you to the tools that help you to deal with those emotional situations and build the tool set that allow you to learn the techniques to deal with these situations at a better point. And so we sometimes do call this, we want to become your second emotional brain, where you store knowledge about the patterns and the techniques that have worked for you personally. This is a very big issue that we're seeing right now, and that I wanted to address also here today is the rise of artificial intelligence. Sorry, I hear myself. Somebody who wants to ask a question, maybe.
Hi, Kai. I think it was just somebody that wasn't on mute. Carry on.
Okay, wonderful. One topic that is important for myself. We are seeing a massive trend right now, and many companies do approach us at the moment because they're thinking about the future skill set of our workforce and how that will shape in the next few years. And I can tell you that one of the things that is very actively being discussed in amongst chief people officers and people who deal with learning and development is the shift in skill set and the requirement of a future workforce to be more emotionally skilled than ever. We will see that many of the analytical skills that we have been trained towards, engineers, also lawyers, mathematicians, engineers, those are things that can be very well done through technology. What will be left as core human skills in the future will be social and emotional skills. But there's no doubt about this development. The problematic development that we're seeing that is countering that is, if you look at a new generation that is entering the workforce, those are often kids who haven't been to church, who haven't been to a football club, who have not seen local communities where those social skills used to be trained. They might even enter the workforce working in a remote state where even the easiest thing, such as water cooler chat or the little social interactions that you have outside of your family and school have never existed. So we're facing this ever increasing demand for this skill set and this lack of existing skill set. And we do need new technologies to help people train those skill set. I think that's something that that we're really hoping that ahead in other products in the market will be able to deliver. And obviously, coaches play a huge role here, and I'm very bullish in general on the role of a coach in helping either in one-to-one or one-to-N in helping especially young people and of course also older people to deal with that and building these skill set in the future. We call this School of Life. This is I think it's just there's a company obviously called School of Life that will not like the fact that we also call it like this, but I think it's just a great name for what we're trying to build. And I'd do a short break here before I actually jump into the app and would open up this for questions. Love to have a quick discussion with people on if they see things differently or if they've experienced something similar. So please do feel free to ask anything that I, as a non-medical professional, can answer.
Kai, Doro's asked a question in the chat. When is the app available for Android?
In my engineers will not like that, but I'm saying in 2 weeks. So we're working hard right now. I've seen the first version already, and it's supposed to be coming in 2 weeks. Maybe give it 4 in the next weeks.
Are there any other questions that anybody would like to drop into the chat or take yourself off mute and ask Kai? I think people want to see the demo, Kai.
People want to see the demo. So let me see if that would be bad if I won't be able to do this quickly, but do you see my phone?
Yeah, 2 seconds. Leanne's asking a question. What role can a human coach
Yes.
play to complement this app? Have you seen this working with your app?
Yeah, we do work with coaches and we do work with therapists. We, in the beginning, to be honest, we realized that a lot of our users are actually therapists and coaches who work with ahead together with their clients, and we never knew this because they never ended up calling us and telling us. The two questions. So we are not in any way looking to replace coaches. That's not what we do. Like there are things that can be done in one-on-one conversation that we could never do, or that I don't believe that technology can do. What we can do very well to support the relationship that a coach or a therapist has with their client is once you leave the office, once you get back to life, once your phone starts ringing and emails are coming in and all the problems that you don't have in this 45 minutes or 1 hour come back to life, we can help you apply what you've learned in that session in real life. That's what we're very good at. We're with you in your pocket, and we're right there and then when you are experiencing emotion, which sadly often a coach cannot be. I think the most powerful role that I've seen coaches and therapists play in my own life and from what we've learned is purpose finding, working through complex trauma. Those are all things we simply can't do. And I've seen the most profound changes happen when you do this in one-on-one relationships. And what we then can help you with is once you've discovered this or uncovered these, is help you find the techniques to change behavior on a daily basis.
Thank you, Kai. I think you also answered Raphael's question there around, do you expect apps like this and AI in general replacing human coaching one day? I think the answer is no, but it can certainly, look at how we can integrate the two together so we get the best of both worlds. That's in the moment, in the session, contact and support with the coach, but also looking at what else is there to support in the spaces in between, which is when we know people are reflecting and also continuing to experience the realities of their current life. Okay, let's go to the demo.
Yeah, I'll say this is an important question that we get a lot, or at least that people ask. I do believe there's competition for coaches, and I do believe, as in many other fields, bad coaches and bad therapists will be replaced by technology, but the good ones will not be. Like that's the human connection and the value that this relationship can bring, that cannot be replaced. But if you have, hopefully, the bogus ones, um, they will be replaced by hopefully better solutions. That's what I'm hoping for. But we all should aim to do what we do in the best possible manner. And the people who are doing that with malintention, they are at risk of being replaced by something that's better and maybe less expensive and more available, readily available. Okay, if no further questions, I'll do this. This involves heavily reflective questions often, so I'll do run through certain parts that I don't want to open up to a large group what my answer to this question will be, but you may want to answer some of them to yourself. There are certain experiences that I do want to show you. I only have 9 minutes left, so I have to rush a little bit. There's a visual cute element to it. There's haptic elements to it. Committing to yourself is a big element for us. I'll just do this here quickly. So jump some elements. We do the initial experience always starts with a quick question that you ask yourself, a quick reflective part to help you get into the game. This might be one here that you can read through and answer to yourself. You see there, we try to utilize small tips that you can apply on a daily basis. I do, for me personally, the door handle that I touch is one of the mental cues that I use in my life on a daily basis. So I'll choose this here today. And this is one element taken from game design, helping users to build streaks, helping them to establish new behaviors by gamifying certain elements. What you see here is a journey. It is, in this case, focused on anger. What you see on top here, you can choose from different fields: confidence, anxiety, procrastination. You can see how many people are currently using this. For example, here on the anger journey, currently you have 500,000 people that are working through anger. It has been one of our longest standing journeys. Heartbreak, for example, has been one of our newest journeys we're working on. The journey in itself consists of daily activities. They're between 3 to 5 minutes. And we do limit the daily amount to 3. Behavior change is nothing you can binge. It's not like Netflix where if you watch more, it gets better. It is something where the Japanese Kaizen, kind of the development in small steps, is way more powerful than working through an entire journey in an entire day. That's not how this works. Sadly, sometimes I wish. One tool that I want to show you in the remaining time that I find very powerful myself is touching this plus you see in the middle will give you tools right here and then. I got angry. What can I do? My goal is to find a technique to calm down. Let's find one for you or for myself. Yesterday I got into a fight with my girlfriend again. Let's call this fight girlfriend. She will not like that I did this. Hopefully don't put this on YouTube. But it did happen yesterday. Our system is learning from patterns that exist in your life. It happened on a call, we live a long distance relationship, and it involved my partner. What we over time can show you, who are the people in your life that certain emotion tend to build a pattern? Is it your parent? Is it your child? Is it certain coworkers? What emotions have you experienced? I was upset. To be honest, I didn't handle myself very well. And I'm still ruminating about it. So I'm still troubled by this. And for me, it was really that I was feeling provoked, and I was potentially exaggerating the size of the issue, if I'm being very honest. Now with a day in advance, I can say this. So the system is using this and looking through the past 500,000 users who've also done this to work through what technique might actually be best working in that moment. it has found three for me at this moment. And uh, let's pick the first one. It's called Find the Humor in It to Diffuse My Anger. And I can now work through that technique. I ask myself reflective questions and I try to answer those best. Is getting angry again really the best reaction? And I have the chance to make notes, and over time we will provide you learnings from those notes. And it's, in this case, let me just write some information here, but it's probably not. And going through that, it makes me reflect on how absurd or entertaining would this scene be that I was in. And I'm able to again picture myself in that situation and reflect on that situation. If I look at it from a baby eyes perspective, does this actually call for a smile or for anger? Now, am I really upset, or was I just annoyed or astonished, or was I just actually even amused? What is happening around and inside of me in this situation? And having reflective prompts around a specific situation and learning from that specific situation over time will build a massive reflective skill in us in being able to learn from these moments. And one really powerful thing that we have discovered is picking a certain mantra. If you again and again are getting to specific situations, you can pick a mantra. And whenever you feel you're getting into a similar situation, you just repeat that mantra. And, I personally, I like the ha ha ha, life is weird, which is just a mantra that again and again seems to work for myself. Life just puts me in very weird situations. And repeating this mentally to myself allows me to distance myself often before I do get angry. So the first one in this case worked for me. And there are some other ones that I can try if I feel that this did not fully work, or I feel that this was not appropriate for my situations. I won't bore you with all the details of this at this moment. When I do finish this, there's success. I've rewired my brain a little bit. I've learned something. I've gotten to a point where I reached plasticity. I can tell you, you can tell me, or us in this case, as I had, if this worked for you, if this didn't work for you, if it needs improvement. And that's how we can work on the algorithm that suggests you these. So I'm reminded of my streak. And here, I've unlocked the treasure. I'm being rewarded for the behaviors that I've done. I've reflected on myself. Let's pick a chess. Let's see what I win. I learned a joke. Received a joke from myself. So for anybody who, I don't know if you can see this, you can read this, but how to make an angry person even angrier. Usually telling them to calm down is a really great way to make an angry person more angry. No, I don't need to tell this to anybody. That made me giggle. And rewarding myself with this invites me to do this again. And I think establishing these kind of behaviors in our lives can really make the difference in success with dealing in these moments, or unsuccessfully dealing with these moments, which might be screaming or fighting with your partner. Another really cool area of the app is our community, where we do work with all the questions that we get from our users, and we have expert coaches, and we have just normal users that do answer them. So I think last week a user brought up the question, what signs of anger do you notice often, and how do you notice it? You can basically go through and read what other people in the same situation come up with. And often what we see is that just reading what people write in the words that they use about these situations and how they support each other can be a really great way to deal with it. And seeing what other people in similar situations are dealing with, or that one is not alone in dealing with those, even if it might be a weird way in how you deal with something, but you see that other people are going through the same and are dealing with it very differently or the same than you are. And of course, your learnings, these are now some of my learnings. If I'm feeling criticized, please don't criticize me. But that's one of the signs of anger that I've discovered in myself, feeling unrespected. You see these patterns over time. Are there any questions to this?
There
Is there
are.
anything that I
There
can
are,
go
Kai.
into detail?
We've got a few here. So, who do you consider to be your target audience?
When we initially developed this, I thought people like myself, mid-30s, people living in big cities, who actually turned out to be our user case. Our most motivated users is something very different. So if I would have to break it down to one persona, it's a 35 to 45-year-old women, young parents in the US, in the suburb. We have almost 500,000 to 1 million young mothers who are, especially in the anger journey, who are dealing with anger in relation to having their first kid and the experiences that they have with their first kid, which puts me obviously in a situation where I'm not an expert in. Neither am I female nor am I a parent. But our experts have now worked a lot with that user group.
Do you have any corporate clients who purchase this technology to support their employees?
Yes, a lot. We initially didn't offer this, and to be honest, we don't have a off-the-shelf product for this. For the corporate clients, we have so far developed specific programs, and we do have around a couple of hundred companies that we work with, very different. But a common topic that we see is lots of frontline workers. So people that are in the health industry, people that are in customer-facing industries, where you often have kind of high-pitched emotions, customer service, nurses, a few hospitals that work with our solution.
And is it appropriate for children to use?
We do ask for age at the beginning, and we try to cater the content specific to age group and your motivation. So depending whether you want to look at anger from the perspective of becoming a better romantic partner, or whether you look at anger through the lens of becoming a better parent, we do cater content to you. And the same we do for younger children. The minimum age that we suggest for self-users is 14, because there is some more complex reflective behavior involved that I probably, if you would have given me this with 14, it would have not worked. But we do see 14-year-old successfully using this. If younger than 14, we suggest to use this together with your parents, because they can often, for lack of a better word, help dumb down the language even a bit better to make it more appropriate.
And there's a question around what future functionality are you developing? So are you exploring anything that would allow a coach to use this to support coachees, for example, a coach view, or the ability to facilitate group coaching supported by this app? So Leanne was sharing that she's participated in group coaching supported by an emotional intelligence app in the past. So I was curious about if this is the future for you.
We will for sure develop features that allow coaches to work together with their clients. I don't think that group coaching will be one of them, to be honest. Our goal is not to bring coaching within the app and like facilitate what we're doing here, for example, or video coaches within the app. I think that's not our role. Our role is really the time spent alone, you and the app. And what we do have a lot of requests for is to manage the account and gain access to the learnings of the clients that you work with. So a therapist who has 10 different clients who are all using a head, and with the consent of the user, of course, giving the therapist access to some of the learnings and reflections, and especially the moments, because often people do track, fights and or small moments where they became emotional. That can be really powerful for a therapist to look at and to understand these patterns, to use that when they work one-on-one. And that will come over time.
And Irene was asking, can you confirm how much is available on the free element of the app? And then they were asking about the cost of the app, the in-app purchase.
Yeah.
Doro shared something from the app or from a web page which goes through the cost. But could you tell us more about that?
Yeah, so during the free trial, everything is available. So you have full access for 7 days. You can extend the trial for 30 days for the cost of $6, I think this is in the US. And then the normal monthly cost is $9.99. And of course, that discounts if you do it yearly or quarterly, those packages. But many of our users are doing yearly, and that the yearly cost, depending a bit on where you are in the world, is around I think between 59 and 79. Is kind of the ranges. We try to have offers for students and veterans to use.
Yeah. Thank you, Kai. I think that's all the questions that we have in the chat there. If you want to bring your screen share down, or just hold a little bit to see if there are any other questions for you.
Yes, I think you have I have 5 minutes left. Sorry.
I think the reason that we thought this would be a useful and interesting topic for today is, as we said, there's a lot of discussion around AI and coaching, and will it replace it? Won't it replace it for different levels? And actually, what we're talking about here is how can we integrate the two together, and how may that benefit our clients, or just growing our knowledge of things that might possibly help them. Let's say if a client says to you, is there anything that can help me with this in between? And you might be able to share, oh, actually, I went to this session recently. Someone was presenting on the Ahead app. This is some of the things it can do, or other apps. So it's just helping you to think about how you can perhaps bring technology in to support your coaching. Is there anything else you'd like to add, Kai, before we bring the session to a close?
Again, by the amount of therapists and coaches that we're working with, I do believe that you can enhance the experience by utilizing technology, and you can enhance the retention and the effectiveness of your relationship by utilizing technology and utilizing a piece of software and hardware that people anyway use. Most of us do have smartphones, and I'd even go as far as everybody has smartphones, and everybody uses them. So being there and giving them tools right where they are tends to be the easiest way to make behavior change easier.
Thank you, everyone.
And whether it's Ahead or something else.
Thank you so much. And thank you for being here, everyone. I will end this session now and come back and rejoin the link for the next session today. Kai, thank you so much for the generosity of your time and giving us that great overview and insight into the app. That was really helpful. Have a good day, everybody.
Thank you for everybody for your time. Yeah. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.